Have you ever believed the lie that your absence doesn't matter? That when you walk away, nothing really changes for them? Let me tell you, that belief is one of the most dangerous traps you can fall into. Today, we're going to expose one of the greatest misconceptions that keep people stuck, the idea that being out of sight means being out of mind. In reality, your absence has more power than your presence ever did, if you know how to wield it. Listen carefully, because what we're about to uncover will change the way you approach every relationship, every friendship, every connection you ever value. This is not another sugar-coated feel-good speech. This is about reclaiming your strength through Stoic relationships and understanding a universal law that most people overlook. Right now, you're standing at a crossroads. You can continue chasing, questioning, doubting, or you can step into a deeper truth about human nature. You can master the art of stoicism and let absence speak louder than your words ever could. What I'm about to show you will give you clarity, power, and most of all, peace. I promise you, if you stay with me until the end, you're going to walk away with a mindset shift so profound that you'll never see distance, silence, or separation the same way again. So ask yourself right now, are you ready to discover what really happens when you're no longer in their life? Are you ready to finally understand what your absence makes them feel? Because what's coming next might just be the answer you've been searching for your entire life. Stay close, stay sharp. The real revelations are just beginning. 1. The silent void, the first sting of absence. At first, nothing seems to happen. You walk away, you stop calling, you stop checking in, and the world appears unchanged. They laugh, they post, they live, or at least that's what they want you and themselves to believe. But silence, true silence, is never empty. It's full of echoes, full of weight, full of the things they refuse to admit. The first sting of your absence isn't obvious, not even to them. It starts as a subtle disturbance, a missing piece they can't quite name, like reaching for a familiar coat on a hook and finding it gone. It's human nature to normalize presence, to treat consistency as a background hum, so constant it becomes invisible. You were the light switch they flipped without thought, the background music they didn't consciously hear until it stopped playing. And now, standing in the sudden void, confusion creeps in, not loudly, not publicly, quietly, privately, a thought they brush aside at first, a tiny ache they ignore. Do you understand what real stoicism teaches us here? That emotional reactions often take the form of denial before they transform into recognition. So when you pull your energy back, when you remove your light, the mind resists acknowledging that loss, because acknowledging it would mean admitting dependency. And the ego despises the idea of needing anyone. But beneath that thick armor of pride, the truth is stirring. Can you imagine the quiet moment late at night when their hand instinctively reaches for their phone and pauses because your name isn't there anymore? When a joke crosses their mind and they realize they have no one to send it to? That is the first real pang of absence, and it cuts deeper than any argument or goodbye ever could. They won't post about it. They won't text you about it. They won't even admit it to themselves at first. Why? Because admitting they miss you is admitting that they were never as independent as they pretended to be. In Stoic relationships, we learn that true influence is often invisible. It's the silent gravity that pulls on someone's soul, even when they try to walk away. So they deny, they distract, they drown the silence with meaningless noise, with parties, with dating apps, with endless scrolling, hoping that if they pile on enough stimulation, they won't have to face the emptiness you left behind. But you and I know the truth. Distractions are temporary. The void you created isn't surface level, it's deep, it's foundational. It changes the rhythm of their days and the texture of their nights, even if they pretend otherwise. And here's something most people never understand. It's not your presence that teaches people your value. It's your absence. It's the sudden, jarring realization that the thing they thought was optional, the thing they took for granted, was actually holding a part of their world together. And now that it's gone, the imbalance is unavoidable. Their mind will try to reframe the story to protect itself. They'll tell themselves you were just another person. They'll insist they don't miss you. But Stoicism reminds us, reality always outlasts denial. Every small reminder, the empty inbox, the quiet birthdays, the unshared victories, will chip away at their defenses. They'll start noticing things they used to overlook. How you listened when no one else did. How you supported them without needing applause. How your presence filled a space they didn't even realize existed. Have you ever thought about why the absence of sound is more noticeable than noise itself? Because silence is unnatural to the human mind. It forces confrontation, and so does your absence. You have now become the mirror they can't escape, the reflection of what they failed to appreciate, magnified by the empty spaces you used to occupy. Can you feel the power in that? True Stoic relationships don't thrive on constant validation. They thrive on presence that is so quietly powerful that its removal destabilizes everything it touched. You are that force now. Understand this. The first stage of feeling your absence is the most dangerous for them because they don't even realize it's happening. They think they're fine. They think they're moving forward. But slowly, inevitably, the cracks appear. They become irritable without knowing why. They feel restless but can't pinpoint the cause. Every joke feels a little less funny. Every celebration a little less sweet. Why? Because someone is missing, and no amount of noise can permanently cover the silence you left behind. Isn't it fascinating how quickly humans adapt to abundance, but how painfully they adjust to scarcity? When you were readily available, your presence faded into the background. Now that you are gone, every empty space screams your name. And here's a vital question you must ask yourself in these moments. Will you rush back in to comfort them, to ease their discomfort, to prove your worth? Or will you stand firm, practicing the patience and inner strength that Stoicism demands? Because the silent void you've created is not cruelty, it's clarity. It's the only way they will ever be forced to see the reality they tried so hard to ignore. Right now, they're still pretending. They're still clinging to pride, to ego, to the illusion of indifference. But time is not on their side. With every passing day, the weight of your absence grows heavier, the sting becomes sharper, and eventually, even the most stubborn heart must admit someone irreplaceable has been lost. In Stoic relationships, the absence isn't just about what they miss, it's about what they realize they can never replicate. This is the unseen transformation unfolding while you remain silent, while you remain disciplined, while you resist the urge to reinsert yourself into their story. Your power grows stronger in the void, their certainty weakens, and somewhere, beneath layers of denial and distraction, the truth whispers louder with each silent day. They feel your absence more deeply than they ever expected, and more painfully than they will ever admit. 2. The ego's struggle, when pride masks the pain. The first response to absence is almost always denial. But as time stretches and silence thickens, something deeper and far more dangerous to their peace begins to take root: the struggle of the ego. At the beginning, they wear a mask so convincingly that even they believe it. They tell themselves, you were never that important. They convince their minds that life feels lighter without you. They might even laugh a little louder, show up in places they never cared about before, or plaster their social media with images of a life so full, so busy, so thrilling, that surely there's no room left for missing anyone. But beneath every show of indifference is a battle raging against the reality your absence has triggered. In Stoicism, we understand that pride is the first refuge of a wounded heart. The mind, desperate to shield itself from pain, builds a fortress called ego and hides inside. And so they act strong, untouched, unbothered. They overcompensate with louder smiles, bigger declarations of independence, more extravagant displays of supposed happiness. But none of these performances erase the gnawing feeling growing in the pit of their stomach, the realization they cannot fully admit that losing you has disturbed the very foundation of their comfort. Ask yourself, how often have you mistaken someone's silence for true indifference, when in reality it was their pride fighting a war they were too ashamed to name? In Stoic relationships, we recognize that emotional reactions are rarely pure. They are often distorted by the fear of appearing weak, the terror of losing control. So now, while they may appear distant, what is really happening inside them is the slow unraveling of certainty. They wonder quietly if you still think about them. They speculate if you're hurting too. They battle between wanting to reach out and refusing to be the first to break. Every post you don't like, every call you don't make, every day you don't return, it chips away at their carefully constructed illusion of dominance. Pride whispers to them, don't move, don't reach out, don't show them you care. But fear, real raw fear, starts whispering too. What if they don't care anymore? What if it's really over? The longer you maintain your silence, the louder that second voice becomes. And here's a truth most people cannot stomach. When the ego struggles, the mind does not seek peace. It seeks proof. Proof that they are still wanted, still desired, still in control. This is why you must remain unshaken. If you break first, if you reach out first, you hand them the very proof their ego craves, and in doing so, you confirm their sense of superiority. You feed their pride, not their heart. You validate their decision to stay distant, and you diminish the impact of your absence. Stoicism teaches us that the greatest strength lies not in loud declarations, but in quiet resolve. You are practicing that strength now. Every second you resist reaching back, you turn their inner battle against them. Can you picture it? Them checking their phone more often, replaying your last conversations, wondering if that last look, that last message, meant more than they pretended it did. They replay moments not because they miss the situation, but because they miss the certainty. And certainty is the drug they once had free access to when you were around. Now, it's been ripped away. Without your attention, without your validation, they start losing their grip on the narrative they tried to tell themselves. Every day that passes is a reminder that the game they thought they were winning is slipping away from their hands. Their ego, once so confident, begins to fracture under the weight of silence. Remember, when people have power, they don't feel the need to prove anything. It's when they start to lose power that they get loud, performative, and desperate for reassurance. Right now, their need for validation is growing, but their pride holds them hostage. This internal tug-of-war exhausts them. It makes them restless. It makes them prone to impulsive actions they will later regret. They may post passive-aggressive quotes. They may flaunt their lives in ways that seem exaggerated. They might even flirt publicly with others just to provoke a reaction. But Stoic wisdom demands that you see through the performance. None of it is real strength. It's theater. It's the desperate theater of a bruised ego fighting to hide the growing fear of irrelevance. In Stoic relationships, we must ask, is it worth responding to someone's performance, or is it wiser to let the show play out until they either humble themselves or remove themselves? The choice you make in these moments defines the entire outcome. The ego will do everything it can to preserve the illusion of power, but you must not aid it. You must not feed it. You must not answer its cries for attention. This is the test. This is where you separate yourself from the crowd of people who chase, who explain, who beg for closure. The true practitioner of Stoicism understands that Dignity in silence is louder than any forced explanation. So let their ego struggle. Let them wrestle with the growing awareness that they cannot simply replace you, that your value was never negotiable. They will either confront their pride and lower their walls, or they will cling to their facade and live with the gnawing emptiness they can't admit to anyone else, even themselves. Which brings me to a crucial question you must internalize. Do you want to be remembered as someone who lost their power, trying to fix what should have been recognized all along? Or do you want to be remembered as the silent storm that forced them to finally face themselves? Because that's what your absence is becoming, a mirror that exposes everything they tried to hide with pride. Stay strong, stay stoic, stay absent. Let them experience the full weight of losing you without the comfort of knowing they still have a hold on you. This is the purest form of stoic relationships, not chasing love, but standing firm in your own value and letting others rise or fall in response to it. And if you can endure this phase, if you can let the ego fight and falter without intervention, you set the stage for true revelation. The question is, are you strong enough to withstand the noise, the games, the theatrics? Are you prepared to trust that real feelings surface not when people are comfortable, but when they are tested by silence and distance? I believe you are. I believe you wouldn't be here, reading this, standing on the edge of transformation, if you weren't ready to live by a deeper standard. So if you feel the struggle growing within them, if you sense the cracks beginning to form, stay your course. Remember, the greatest victories in Stoicism come from the battles we win against ourselves, the battles where we choose not to react, not to explain, not to chase, but simply to remain. And if you're with me so far, if you feel the power building inside you, do me a favor, like this video and drop a comment with the words #1 to let me know you're here, standing strong. And don't forget to subscribe, because the deeper we go into understanding stoic relationships, the more unstoppable you'll become. 3. The watching phase, curiosity without contact. After the initial void settles and the ego struggles silently in its fortress of pride, something inevitable begins to happen. They start watching. Silently, discreetly, almost involuntarily, their eyes begin seeking you out in the spaces you once effortlessly occupied. They won't reach out directly. That would require vulnerability. That would require breaking the fragile armor their pride is still desperately holding together. No, they choose the path of least exposure, watching from the shadows. They scroll through old messages late at night, hovering over your name, rereading conversations, looking for clues they missed. They visit your social media pages without liking anything, without leaving any visible trace, trying to gauge your life from a distance. They look for signs, for changes, for proof that you miss them, or that you've moved on without them. It's not just curiosity. It's the gnawing need to know where they stand now that you are no longer accessible. In Stoic relationships, we understand that presence breeds complacency, but absence breeds obsession. When you were present, they didn't have to wonder. They didn't have to guess. They had you. Your energy, your support, your attention were guaranteed. But now, faced with a gaping void where certainty used to live, their mind does what all minds do when confronted with a mystery. It searches. It seeks resolution. It demands answers. Isn't it fascinating how the human brain will create entire narratives just to fill in the blanks left by silence? They start interpreting your posts, your photos, your absences. They look for hidden meanings where there are none. A simple smile in a picture becomes a threat. A casual outing becomes a sign of betrayal. Your peace, your growth, your apparent indifference become daggers to the parts of them they were trying so hard to protect. They don't reach out because they fear the answer. What if you really are fine without them? What if you have truly moved on? What if you no longer even think about them? That possibility is terrifying because it shatters the illusion that they still hold a place in your mind. So instead of asking directly, they watch. They collect scraps of information like a starving person scavenging for food. They notice every detail, every change, every absence. They analyze your silence more than they ever analyzed your words when you were speaking to them daily. This is the great irony that Stoicism teaches us to appreciate. The less you give, the more they crave. The less you explain, the more they question. The less you show, the more they feel. Your absence has now transformed into their obsession, even if they wear a mask of indifference on the surface. They might casually ask mutual friends about you, pretending not to care. They might accidentally like an old photo, pretending it meant nothing. They might pop up in places you frequent, pretending it's a coincidence. But you and I know better. None of it is accidental. All of it is calculated, though often not consciously. Their heart drives them toward you even while their pride forces them to pretend they are facing the other way. In Stoic Relationships, the power of detachment reveals itself most fully here. Your silence becomes a magnet stronger than any words, any gestures, any desperate actions could ever be. You have become the unanswered question they cannot stop asking. You have become the unfinished chapter they keep rereading, hoping to find a different ending, and the beauty of it all, you have done nothing. You have posted nothing desperate, sent no emotional messages, made no dramatic declarations. You simply existed in your power. You simply trusted that true value does not need to chase. It is felt in its absence. Right now, somewhere in their quietest moments, they are replaying memories of you. Not the arguments, not the inconveniences. No, memory softens the edges and highlights the warmth, the laughter, the comfort, the rare energy you brought into their life. They remember how you listened without judgment, how you stayed when others left, how you made them feel seen in a world that constantly demands masks. They miss what they once ignored. They long for what they once took for granted, but they cannot say it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because to say it would be to admit defeat, and the ego still clings to its last strands of false power. Ask yourself, what power is greater than becoming unforgettable without lifting a finger? What strength is more profound than knowing you live rent-free in the mind of someone who thought they could do better without you? In Stoicism, we are taught that true influence is not loud, it is lasting. It is the whisper that grows louder over time, the presence that expands in absence. You have become that whisper in their life now. They may scroll past your picture a dozen times, pretending it doesn't affect them, but their heart races each. A time, they may mute your stories, unfollow you, block you even, thinking that if they erase you digitally, they can erase you emotionally. But it doesn't work that way. Because absence is not about visibility, it's about presence, your emotional imprint on their life. It remains long after physical ties are severed. It lingers in moments they can't predict. The quiet after a bad day, the excitement after good news, the loneliness of a Sunday afternoon. It's in those moments that you appear again, uninvited, undeniable. You become the standard against which all others are measured and found lacking. Other conversations feel duller, other laughs feel hollower, other connections feel thinner. They realize in ways both subtle and devastating that what you offered was not common, it was not replaceable, it was not something they can simply download from a dating app or manufacture through distraction. And so they watch your life unfold, wondering if they still fit somewhere in it. They watch your growth, your peace, your quiet evolution, and they wonder if you ever think of them. They watch because curiosity has turned into longing, and longing into regret. Regret not just for losing you, but for never recognizing what they had when they had it. This watching phase is critical because it sets the stage for what comes next. Either they summon the courage to confront their pride and reach out, or they spiral deeper into a cycle of silent suffering, forever orbiting your memory but never daring to land. The choice, as always, is theirs to make. Your role, grounded in Stoicism, is simply to remain unmoved. Do not perform for their attention. Do not dance for their validation. Do not break your silence just because they are watching. Watching is not action. Watching is not change. Watching is not love. It's merely the beginning of awareness, the first painful acknowledgement that something valuable has been lost. They are spectators in a game they thought they could control. They are bystanders in a story they thought they were writing. And you? You are the author of your own destiny now, no longer bound by the need for their approval, no longer trapped by the false comfort of their validation. In Stoic relationships, we do not chase those who wander. We do not plead with those who drift. We stand firm, knowing that those meant to stay will fight to return, not in pride, not in performance, but in truth. And if they never do, then their silence becomes your liberation, their absence of action your final answer. So let them watch, let them wonder, let them miss you in the quiet corners of their life they once thought would never be empty. Let them realize too late that not everyone is replaceable, that not every connection can be recreated, that not every presence is just background noise. You were never noise. You were always the melody they didn't appreciate until the music stopped. And now all they have left is the aching silence and the haunting knowledge that they were the ones who turned away first. 4. The rise of uncertainty. Doubts begin to haunt them. There comes a moment after the watching has gone on in silence for long enough when a deeper shift begins inside them, and this is where the true battle starts. The rise of uncertainty. In the beginning, they were certain. Certain you would reach out, certain you would check in, certain that your pride would break before theirs, certain that no matter what, they still held a special place in your heart. But as time drags on and you remain still, silent and unmoved, those certainties start to crumble and doubt seeps into the cracks of their once unshakable ego. It does not happen all at once. Doubt is like water dripping slowly onto stone, imperceptible at first, but inevitable in its effect. They begin questioning what once felt unshakable. Did you care as much as they thought you did? Were you ever truly attached? Is your silence a punishment, a test, or worse yet, a reality they must now accept? These questions gnaw at them when they least expect it. During moments of quiet, in the middle of celebrations, in the depths of loneliness, the doubts haunt them like silent ghosts they cannot escape. In Stoic relationships, we recognize that certainty is a luxury built on presence. Remove presence, and the human mind, wired to seek patterns and security, begins to panic. They replay old conversations looking for clues. They analyze your last words, searching for hidden meanings. They try to remember the tone of your voice, the look in your eyes, the way you said goodbye. Was there a finality they missed? Doubt is relentless. It breeds anxiety, insecurity, fear. They might pretend to be unaffected, but internally, the shift is seismic. What was once taken for granted is now a source of endless speculation. They wonder if you miss them at all. They wonder if you found someone better. They wonder if they were just another stepping stone in your journey. And every wondering chips away at the story they told themselves to feel secure. In Stoicism, we understand that real growth happens, not in comfort but in discomfort. And right now, your absence is forcing them to confront discomfort they cannot control or explain away. This discomfort forces reflection. It forces them to look inward, to question not only their importance to you, but their own worthiness. Were they good enough? Did they do enough? Were they truly irreplaceable? Or were they just convenient? These are painful questions, And they arise because true connection cannot be faked or forgotten. It demands acknowledgement, even in absence. You have now shifted the power dynamic entirely. While you focus on your growth, your peace, your elevation, they spiral deeper into their own uncertainty. They stalk your social media without interacting, desperate for reassurance, yet too proud to ask for it. They check if you're online, but refuse to message. They ask mutual friends casual, loaded questions about you, fishing for any hint of your emotional state. Are you happier without them? Are you thriving? Have you moved on without a second thought? Each ambiguous answer only fuels their uncertainty more. And the irony is beautiful in its cruelty. Had they valued you fully when they had you, they would not be living in this restless doubt now. But Stoicism reminds us, people often only recognize value once it is no longer accessible. The fear they feel now is not fear of losing you. You are already gone. It's the fear that they never really mattered to you the way they assumed. That maybe, just maybe, they were easier to forget than they ever imagined. That fear is devastating because it strikes at the core of human ego. It dismantles the illusion of superiority. It forces humility where once there was only pride. In Stoic relationships, we do not retaliate. We do not chase. We do not try to manipulate their doubt into action. We simply let time do what it does. Best reveal the truth. And time, as always, is ruthless. The longer you stay silent, the more their doubts metastasize. The mind craves closure, but you offer none. The mind craves certainty, but you give only mystery. The mind craves control, but you remain sovereign. This imbalance drives them mad in ways they cannot admit publicly. Their public life continues. The work, the laughter, the parties. But internally the questions keep multiplying. They become addicted to wondering about you, to replaying possibilities, to imagining conversations that never happen. In the quiet, in the stillness, in the moments no one else sees, their mind always, inevitably, returns to you. That is the mark of a presence truly felt, the one they cannot silence, the one they cannot replace, the one they cannot understand. So the uncertainty grows. They wonder if they should reach out, but fear rejection. They wonder if they should move on, but fear regret. They wonder if you would even care if they disappeared forever. And each question stings worse than the last, because each question reminds them that the certainty they once flaunted has been replaced by helplessness. Helplessness they caused themselves by underestimating you. Can you see now the beauty of Stoicism in action? How by doing nothing, by holding your ground, by trusting your value, you have turned the tables completely without a single word spoken. They are lost in a labyrinth of their own doubts, a maze they constructed out of pride and must now navigate alone. And the deeper they go, the harder it becomes to find the way back to you. This is not cruelty. This is justice. This is the natural consequence of failing to recognize true worth when it was freely given. And if you are tempted to break your silence, to ease their suffering, to offer them the closure their pride deprived them of, remember this: they must walk through their doubts alone if they are ever to appreciate you fully. You cannot save them from the discomfort that is necessary for growth. You cannot rescue them from the consequences of their own choices. You cannot force realization. It must be born in them organically, through pain, through loss, through absence. And so you must continue to stand firm, to embody Stoic relationships in your actions, to trust that those who are meant for you will find their way, not because you dragged them, but because they chose it themselves. And if they do not, then their silence is your answer, their hesitation your freedom. Their inability to choose you is not your failure, it is their reflection. And you rise above, you grow stronger, you move forward, because your life was Never meant to revolve around proving your worth to those too blind to see it. It was meant to shine on its own terms, at its own pace, for your own peace. If you feel the power of that truth resonating inside you right now, if you recognize the strength it takes to stand firm in the face of uncertainty, then I invite you, like this video and comment number 1 to let the world know you are mastering your own path. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because the deeper we go into Stoicism and Stoic relationships, the stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable you will become. 5. The subtle tests, fishing for a reaction. As uncertainty gnaws at them and doubt seeps deeper into their mind, a new behavior emerges, subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but undeniable once you learn to recognize it. They begin testing you. Unable to endure the silence, the unknown, the fear of true disconnection, they reach out in the only ways their pride will allow, not through vulnerability, not through honesty, but through small, calculated moves designed to provoke a reaction. Understand this clearly. They are not reaching out because they are ready to admit anything real. They are not extending a hand to rebuild something broken. No, they are fishing for signs that they still have access to you. Fishing for proof that you are still emotionally tethered to them. Fishing for reassurance that even in your absence, they remain important. In Stoic relationships, we know that true strength is shown in what we ignore, not what we chase. And now, more than ever, your strength must remain unshakable. Their first tests may seem harmless. A like on an old post, a random view of your story, a comment that seems innocent but is loaded with hidden meaning. They may send you a casual message, something that gives them plausible deniability, something that could be brushed off if you confront them. Hey, just saw something that reminded me of you, or hope you're doing well, or do you still have that thing of mine? Simple words, safe words, non-committal words, but underneath those words lies a desperate question. Are you still there? Will you respond? Will you acknowledge them? Will you break your silence and give them back the certainty they lost? It is a temptation by design. They know that humans are wired to seek connection, to crave closure, to long for validation. They are counting on your need to explain yourself, to express your feelings, to remind them of your worth. But here is the harsh truth that Stoicism demands we accept. The second you react, the second you break your silence, the second you engage, you fail the test. Because engagement confirms to them that they still matter more to you than your own peace. Engagement tells them that they have power. Engagement resets the dynamic in their favor. And once they have their answer, once they know they still have access to your emotions, they will retreat again, victorious, leaving you once more in the agony of wondering why they reached out only to vanish. It is a cycle, a cruel and endless cycle, unless you recognize the game for what it is and refuse to play. In Stoic relationships, we operate from a place of internal validation, not external approval. We do not dance for breadcrumbs. We do not chase mirages. We stand firm in the knowledge that real connections do not require tests. They require clarity, courage, and commitment. So when the subtle tests begin, when the breadcrumbs are scattered at your feet, you must not stoop to gather them. You must not reply to the casual message. You must not acknowledge the accidental like. You must not fall into the trap of thinking that any of it means more than it does. Their tests are not about you. They are about them, about their fear, their insecurity, their need to feel in control again. But you are no longer seeking their validation. You have outgrown the game. You have embraced the discipline and power that Stoicism offers. You understand that the only relationships worth having are those built on mutual respect, on honest communication, on shared values, not on manipulation, not on mind games, not on fear-based tactics. The tests will escalate if you ignore them. They may become more obvious, more desperate. They might comment on your posts. They might send more direct messages. They might even fabricate emergencies just to force you to respond. But no matter, the form, the principle remains the same. If it is not a clear, direct, and genuine effort to rebuild trust and connection, it is noise. And noise must be ignored. Ask yourself, would you rather be with someone who comes to you out of fear of losing control, or someone who comes to you out of genuine realization and love? The answer is obvious. And yet so many fall at this stage because they confuse testing for caring, because they mistake breadcrumbs for a feast, because they allow hope to override reality. Stoicism demands that we see clearly, that we act with wisdom, not with wishful thinking. Testing is not a compliment, it is a confession of weakness. It is an admission that they cannot handle the consequences of their actions, but are too proud to truly change. Do not reward weakness, do not reward pride, do not reward cowardice disguised as caution. If they truly realized your value, if they truly regretted losing you, they would not test you. They would show up, clearly, unequivocally, without games, without half measures, without the safety nets of plausible deniability. True repentance, true longing, true love. These things do not hide behind subtle tests. They walk through the front door and announce themselves without fear. That is what you deserve. That is what you must demand by the standard of your silence. In Stoic relationships, we hold the line not because we are cold or cruel, but because we respect ourselves enough to demand authenticity. You are not here to soothe their ego. You are not here to reassure their pride. You are here to live fully, to love deeply, and to connect honestly. Anything less is a betrayal of yourself. So let them test, let them watch, let them wonder, let them feel the weight of your absence like a chain around their pride. Let them face the consequences of their choices without the comfort of your validation. This is the path of true strength. This is the lesson they must learn, not through your words, but through your unwavering silence. In Stoicism, we trust that what is meant for us will come with clarity, not confusion, with effort, not excuses, with truth, not tests. So if you find yourself tempted to respond, to engage, to rescue them from their uncertainty, remember this: the real test is not theirs. It is yours. Will you hold the line when they crumble? Will you choose dignity over desperation? Will you embody the quiet, unshakable power that makes Stoic relationships not only survive, but thrive? I believe you will. I believe you already are. You have come too far, grown too much to settle for less than what is true, pure, and undeniable. Let the tests come. Let the noise rise. Let the games unfold. You remain above it all, untouchable, unbothered, unstoppable, because you are no longer seeking answers from those who once failed to appreciate you. You have found your answers in yourself, and in that realization, you have already won. 6. The final revelation: chase or replace. There comes a point in every journey of absence, after the silent void, after the watching, after the tests and the growing uncertainty, where the truth can no longer hide behind performance, pride, or fear. And that is the final revelation. They either chase you or they replace you. It is here at this inevitable crossroads that their true feelings are revealed, not through the words they speak, but through the actions they take. In Stoic relationships, we recognize that words are cheap, but behavior is a mirror of the soul. So after all the tests, after all the silence, after all the doubts they have wrestled with in the dark, they are forced to act. No one can live forever in uncertainty. Eventually, the mind demands resolution, the heart demands clarity, and action must be taken. Either they realize that they cannot live with the void your absence created, that no substitute can fill the space you once occupied, and they chase you with humility, honesty, and open hands. or they turn away, seeking to replace you with distractions, new faces, hollow connections that can never truly replicate what was lost. It is important that you see this moment for what it is, not a personal victory or defeat, but simply the unveiling of what was always there, waiting to be seen. If they chase, it means your presence touched them deeper than pride could bury. It means they have recognized, however late, that what you brought into their life was rare, was real, was irreplaceable. It means they are willing to risk their ego to reclaim something they now know they cannot manufacture elsewhere. And how will you know it's real? Not through vague messages or half-hearted gestures, but through clear, decisive action. They will not test you anymore. They will not bait you. They will not hint or hide. They will come to you plainly, with no masks, no games, no demands, only the raw acknowledgement that they were wrong to let you go and that they are willing to do the work to rebuild what was lost. But if they replace you, if they walk away without a fight, if they slip silently into new distractions, then understand this: they were never truly yours to begin with. Their attachment was shallow. Their appreciation was conditional. Their connection to you was convenient, not profound, and that is not your failure, that is your freedom. Because in Stoicism, we accept the truth no matter how painful, knowing that only by facing reality can we build a life of true peace and strength. You are not here to convince someone of your worth. You are not here to beg for attention, affection, or loyalty. You are here to live authentically, to love deeply, and to connect meaningfully. And if someone cannot see that, if someone can walk away and never look back, they were never meant to stay. This moment, this revelation is your gift. It saves you from wasting more time, more energy, more emotion on someone who could not value what you offered. It clears the path for you to invite people into your life who do see you, who do appreciate you, who would never need your absence to recognize your worth. Ask yourself, would you rather drag someone back who only missed the comfort you provided, or stand still and be chosen by someone who sees your soul? The answer is clear. If they chase, you will know it not by their desperation, but by their sincerity. If they replace, you will know it by their silence, by the speed with which they move on, by the ease with which they pretend you were never significant. And either way, you win. Because Stoic relationships are not about maintaining illusions. They are about uncovering the truth, no matter how it cuts. You did not lose by stepping back. You gained clarity. You did not fail by refusing to chase. You succeeded in honoring your own worth. And if you ever doubt that, remember this: losing someone who cannot recognize your value is not a loss. It is a lesson. It is the universe clearing space for something greater, something truer, something that doesn't need absence to see your light. As they make their choice, to chase or to replace, make yours as well, to remain steadfast, to remain dignified, to remain rooted in the truth of who you are. Let them reveal themselves without interference. Let their actions speak the words they are too afraid to say. Let the final revelation unfold exactly as it is meant to, without your manipulation, without your desperation, without your fear. Because you have already won the most important battle, the battle against your own need to be needed, to be validated, to be chosen by those unworthy of your heart. You have become the master of your own value, the guardian of your own peace, the architect of your own destiny, and that, my friend, is a power few ever attain. So as you watch the final act play out, as you see them either run toward you with open arms or drift away without a second glance, hold your head high. Smile, not with bitterness but with gratitude. Because now you know, now you are free. And if you have felt the truth of everything we have explored together today, if you have felt the strength rising within you, the clarity sharpening your vision the peace settling into your bones, then I invite you from the bottom of my heart, like this video, comment number 1 below to mark your place among those who have chosen strength over fear, truth over illusion, stoicism over chaos. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because we are just getting started on this journey of stoic relationships, self-mastery, and unstoppable growth. Stay strong, stay focused, stay true to yourself, because you, my friend, were always the prize. At the end of it all, when the noise fades, when the dust settles, what remains is not the clamor of what was lost, but the silent strength of what was found within yourself. You walked through the storm of absence. You stood still against the tempests of doubt. You resisted the lure of false hope. And in doing so, you did something extraordinary. You chose yourself. You became the steady hand in the midst of chaos, the calm in the eye of emotional hurricanes, the embodiment of stoicism, not just in word, but in action. Relationships, at their core, are not just about connection to others. They are about connection to ourselves, about honoring our own value, protecting our peace, refusing to trade our worth for fleeting validation, in choosing silence over reaction, dignity over desperation, truth over illusion. You have redefined what strength means. Not everyone will understand this path. Not everyone will applaud it. But you did not walk this road for applause. You walked it because the soul demands truth, and truth demands courage. There will be those who realize what they lost when you left, and there will be those who never look back. But neither outcome defines you. Your worth was never up for debate. Your power was never conditional. Your light was never meant to be hidden, to fit inside someone else's limited vision. You are the constant others fail to appreciate. You are the rare melody they only recognize once the music is gone. And now you move forward, not in bitterness, not in anger, but in absolute, unshakable peace. This is the quiet victory that Stoicism teaches us to seek, the victory over the need to be understood by those who chose not to see, the victory over the urge to chase what was never meant for you, the victory over the fear of standing alone. You do not stand alone now. You stand aligned with your values, with your truth, with the highest version of yourself. And as you walk forward, stronger, wiser, and freer than you have ever been, remember this: the ones who matter will never need your absence to recognize your presence. They will see you clearly. They will choose you willingly. They will meet you at the level you have fought to reach. Until then, you remain exactly where you were always meant to be. Not chasing, not proving, not pleading, but simply being, powerful, irreplaceable, whole.